Okay, welcome to MBA Secrets podcast. Today we're lucky to have Ryan Wadge with us, who literally took a midterm hours ago this morning, and so you're literally getting it from those who are in the thick of it, and we appreciate that that he's here to share more with us. Real quick, he got his undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Utah, fellow Ute. That's where I graduated as well, but not in mechanical engineering. I could never do that. But I'm excited to hear more about that. Professionally, Ryan was a software engineering intern and a mechanical engineer at Lockheed Martin. And I'm not even going to pretend to, understand any of that. So I'll just turn it over to you, Ryan, and have you expand on that. And thank you again for being here.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Ryan. So I am originally from Utah, like you're saying,
Right.
from Salt Lake City. Attended University of Utah. Got my degree in mechanical engineering because I originally wanted to go into aerospace engineering when I was a kid. A lot of my family, they
Wow.
were aerospace engineers. And so I had dreams as a kid working for NASA one day.
Wow.
And so I did mechanical engineering with an emphasis in aerospace. And once I graduated from the U, actually moved on to the Bay Area where
Mm.
I took on a role at Lockheed, as you mentioned. And I was a design engineer for about 4 years there.
Wow.
And so what I was doing was I was doing mechanical design and analysis on composite and metallic structural components. And once I was done doing the design and analysis side, I kind of decided that I really enjoyed working with other people, working
Mm.
cross-functionally.
Gotcha.
Really enjoyed kind of that side of the business as well, while also having a hand in the technical side. So that's why I eventually moved into a program management role at Lockheed, and I got to work on the production program for hardware that I designed earlier on in my career. So that was really exciting for me, and kind of started, kicking around the idea in my head of, hey, I like the idea of working with all these different moving parts,
Right.
the technical and the business side. So that's kind of what spurred me wanting to go to business school and how I landed up here at UCLA.
Okay, this is a conversation we have not had on this podcast. Is you started out wanting to go to NASA, and now all of a sudden you're in business school. So it can, I mean, any background. It's very diverse. It doesn't matter where you come from. It just, business school might be for you, and it's interesting that you found that path for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So why UCLA? Why that particular program? Did you apply to other places, or was that top of your list? How did you end up there?
Yeah, it's funny. So like I mentioned, when I came out of school, I moved to California. I moved to the Bay Area to
Right.
work at Lockheed. Eventually, I relocated to Denver because I was tired of California. It's really expensive. There's a
Right.
lot of people.
Yes.
All the
Different from Salt
cons.
Lake. Yeah.
Yeah, very different from Salt
Yeah.
Lake. It's like you're entering the big bad world over there. And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, but I was overwhelmed by it. And so I thought
Yeah.
I'd never go back to California. So it's funny that I'm now at
Yep.
UCLA. I'm in Southern
In
California.
LA. Yeah. Wow.
But the reason I applied to about 4 different programs round
Mm.
one. I'm a pretty organized person. I'm very detailed and organized. So I decided I wanted to apply round one, and I had 4 schools in mind with some schools that I was going to apply to round two if round one didn't work
Right.
out. So I believe I applied to UCLA, Anderson,
Mm.
Berkeley, Haas, Duke, Fuqua, and UW, Foster.
Right.
And I got into 3 of them, and I had a tough decision. I quickly ruled out Fuqua because I decided I want to be on the West
Sure.
Coast.
Yeah.
I realized that that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to go into tech, so I knew that
Yep.
I wanted to be in the market. And then ultimately, it came down to going to Seattle or coming to LA. And I'm a very outdoor oriented person. I love backcountry
Right.
skiing, mountain biking, things like that. So I thought Foster was going to be like a home run. So I went up there. I went to both schools to their welcome weekends before the pandemic was a thing.
Right.
And I fell in love with Seattle. I thought I was going to go there. But I thought, I'd give UCLA like benefit of the doubt. I thought I'd come down here, check out what's going on. And it was really the people here that made
Mm.
me want to come here. And, you hear that from everybody when they talk about why they chose their
Yeah.
program, but I can't say that enough about UCLA. I felt
Wow.
so welcomed and so warm here. And, the weather doesn't hurt either.
Yeah.
Being from Utah, you get used to
Yes.
those cold weather winters, and coming to UCLA to where, we're going to the beach several times a week,
Oh
just
man.
blow off some steam after a midterm. I'm going to go play beach volleyball later this week. Like
Wow.
it's a good time. So it wasn't that hard of a decision.
Okay, so I mean, you kind of answered this next question, but you led me to this thought. how are the outdoor activities there in LA? I see you've got some bikes hanging on the wall behind you. Are you able to get out and do all the things that you, except for skiing, of course, but all the other things that you like to do?
Yeah, you do have a lot of different activities out here. You have the ocean, so like
Right.
obviously if you're into surfing or you want to try surfing, it's really close. UCLA is about 4 or 5 miles from the beach.
Wow.
We're in Brentwood over here, so we're really close to
Mhm.
Santa Monica, Venice.
Awesome.
From a hiking perspective, there's a ton of hiking trails. It's really popular to hike out here. There's actually decent mountain biking out here. I didn't think there would be,
Mhm.
but I'm able to do some mountain biking. And something new that I've gone into is road biking since I've moved out
Cool.
here. There's a lot of people in the program that kind of introduced me to the sport, and I've loved it. It's been really fun.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about that application process. You did this 4 different times, 4 different schools to start. Were they similar? And tell us about your unique experience in terms of applications.
Yeah, trying to remember. It's like, yeah, about a year and a half ago now.
Yeah.
I thought I blocked all that out, but it's a
Sorry to
tough.
bring up bad memories. Yeah.
No, it's a tough period, and
It
everybody just
is.
has to push through it, and it's worth it. But
Yes.
each of the schools, has a different kind of application. There's not like a common app like
Right.
you have for undergrad, and they have different essay prompts. And sometimes people, I think, candidates come into the application process thinking that they can take 1 or 2 essays and tailor it for each school.
Right.
I really think if you're trying to get into the schools that you really want to get into, you have to start from scratch with pretty much every single one. And so
Right.
that's kind of what I did. Was every time I sat down with an essay, I think that the essays really characterized my whole application process. Once you got done with the GMAT, it's time to go on the essays. And what I
Right.
do is I'd write a first draft, and then I had a couple of friends who are really good at reading and writing, that come from a background like that, and I'd have them read it and tell them just to rip it to shreds. And we would do that a few times over and over again until we finally got to a point where we thought it was in good shape. So that was kind of the process, and it really came down to the wire. Always was submitting like the day before,
Yeah.
but just wanted to make sure I could get my best application out there so that the application committee could really get a sense of who I was and how I'd fit into the school.
I think that's awesome advice. I think I applied to one school, so I didn't do that same kind of process, but I can see how, you know, using the same um, essay for each of those applications. I don't know. You've really got to tailor it to that school. Tell that story that school wants to hear. Do your research. So that's
Mhm.
awesome advice. So about the GMAT, a lot of listeners like to hear more about that from everybody. How was your experience? What were your strategies or secrets for that?
Yeah, the GMAT's a bear.
It is.
It's not the
It's
most
tough.
fun thing to do, but
No.
so actually about a year or two into working, I decided I wanted to go to business school.
Okay.
And so I started studying for the GMAT at that time. And I grabbed one of those prep books
Yep.
online, read
Hmm.
through it, did a couple practice tests, and took it about a week or two later. Um, and I remember, I wasn't super happy with my
Right.
score, and I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I'll like it was. I was going to the holidays. I was like, I'm not going to read. I'm not going to read the whole book again. I'll
Right.
take it right after the holidays. And I didn't study at all. And I took it again. And I got worse scores.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to seriously focus on this. So I actually put it on ice for about a year. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna
Okay.
focus, figure out if I want to go business school.
Right.
Got some more work experience, which I think ultimately helped with like
Yeah.
maybe my GMAT preparation and helped me, get into a more quantitative mind. It's funny saying that as an engineer, but sometimes when we get into our jobs, we get, into the muck of the minutia of like working through different problems that don't require a lot of quantitative skills. I feel like
Right.
sometimes. So that
Right.
that kind of helped like settling down a little bit. And then I decided I was going to get really serious about it because I decided I really did want to go to business school, and I actually took a prep course. It was for
Hmm.
people. I think it was through Manhattan Prep. It was like I think it was marketed as an advanced GMAT prep class where it was a like 8-week intensive class once a week, and you had to send in a score from that you had
Hmm.
previously taken to qualify for this because there's people that wanted to get the 700 plus scores.
Right. Okay.
And I did that, and it actually really helped. It was I remember I had an instructor, and he was really hands on, and really he was cold calling us on Zoom
Wow.
class. It was funny, just like saying, "Hey Ryan, I need you to address this problem here.
Oof.
Walk me through it, how you would do it." And it really forced me to be
Yeah.
engaged. And I think it helped me a lot. So
Cool.
I'm grateful I did that.
Very cool. Very good information. I think a lot of people will be happy to hear that. So what is your day-to-day experience like in the program? Like a typical day as an MBA student at UCLA?
Well, I think it's a little bit different now than hopefully it'll be next
Yes.
year,
Yeah.
obviously, given Zoom University right now.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. But right now, it kind of looks like I have class a few days a week. I'm in 3 different classes, and they're once a week, each of them for 3 hours a day.
Okay.
And so they're pretty long classes, but in between those classes, there's obviously homework and studying that has to happen. It's a lot of right now I'm in the middle of recruiting season. I'm recruiting
Mhm.
for the tech industry. I'm recruiting for product management. So it's a lot of networking, calling up alumni, seeing what connections I have through the school or my past experience, calling those people up, setting up meetings, just to try understand these companies I'm trying to apply to. And then, the applications themselves, writing resume or working on my resume, writing cover letters, actually filling out the application, proofreading other friends' stuff. And then along that goes with that is interview prep. I have probably between 4 and 6 mock interviews a week with friends in the program who are
Wow.
also going for tech. And what we'll do is, we'll come up with some behavioral and casing questions, and then we'll sit on Zoom for about an hour, and I'll interview a friend for like 20 minutes, and I'll get feedback for like 10, and then we'll swap places. So
Wow.
there's that. And then, all the other stuff in between where it's like going out to dinner now that restaurants have opened up with friends to
That's
see
good.
them if we can do it in a safe manner,
Right.
going and playing beach volleyball. So that's kind of just, a full day. It's some combination of any or all of that.
Well, it sounds like you guys are definitely going to get your pick of companies to work for. That's some pretty intense efforts being put forth.
I hope so.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, and really good advice too. So, okay, so you're when do you graduate, Ryan?
So I'm a first year, so I'm not going to
Okay,
graduate till spring of 2022.
gotcha. Okay, so that's an interesting spot to be in. So you've just started, and you might not have a ton of um, I don't know, experience in this realm,
Mhm.
but how have you been able to maximize your experience, and what advice would you give to other people who want to do the same?
Yeah, I think that's really important too. A really important question given the online environment right
Right.
now is how to maximize it, because a lot of people are questioning whether it's worth it. And
Yeah.
I decided I'm already in this, so I'm going to do everything I can to get the most out of it. And so what I've done is I've really just thrown myself into the community. It's basically all about getting involved in anything that you might be remotely interested in. So, like I said, I come from a mechanical engineering background,
Right.
but I'm really, really interested in sustainability. I love the outdoors, environmental preservation, things like that. And so I actually joined this, I applied for and got accepted into this social impact venture fund group
Cool.
on campus that's just for business school students, to learn more about the VC world, the private equity world, and about working with startups that are trying to make an impact from a double bottom line perspective, both for sustainability and on their P&L. So I
Right.
think that was something I have zero background in, but it's an
Hmm.
opportunity for me to get the most out of this experience. So it's that getting involved in leadership in other clubs. I have, about 3 or 4 different leadership positions within the school. So it's just throwing yourself into the community, because ultimately a big reason why we come to these MBA programs is to meet people.
Right.
That maximizes your experiences to the most, I think.
Right. So that's a great strategy is to I don't know, join a club or a group like that you don't have any experience in or any background in. I can't think of a better way to kind of expand your knowledge, right? That's perfect.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know beach volleyball is calling. But if you had anything or one last thing that you would share with anybody in this process, regardless of where they're at, um, what would you tell somebody that wanted to maybe follow your path?
Yeah, I think something that's been that I've been reminded of recently and throughout this process is a lot of people come into an MBA program and they think it might be a golden ticket to this next dream
Mm,
job that they've always wanted. They weren't satisfied with their previous job, or they want something more, and ultimately they're coming to business school to make a pivot or treat it as a launching board into that next part of their career. Um, Once you get into the program, that next job isn't handed to you. I
right.
wish I had told myself that over and
Hmm,
over again. I kind of took it for granted. Like, oh, they always say like the hardest part about business school is getting accepted into it.
right.
I agree with that to a point, But the reason why you're here is to really make the most of this experience and get into that next phase of your career, the next chapter. And so my advice would be, once you come to school, is kind of alluding to our previous discussion, what
Mm-hmm.
we were just talking about, make the most of it. This
Right.
is a low risk environment where you can fail.
Right.
So throw yourself out there, try things that are new. If you thought that you wanted one thing and you were focused on that, maybe open your blinders up a little bit. Think about other opportunities that you could go into, because really this is just an opportunity to completely change the course of your career and the course of your life. And so I think that shouldn't be taken lightly.
Wonderful. That's awesome stuff. Well, with that, I'll just share my biggest takeaway from all of this, and there's plenty to choose from. But I love. I mean, you said it a few times. Getting involved in that community and like really digging in and making the absolute most of your time. It's not. I don't know. I don't know how many people do this, but maybe some people go to school to get that. Says their name on LinkedIn, comma MBA. Maybe that's the only reason they're there, or to get the piece of paper. And I know some people do that, and that's good for them. But
Mhm.
um, I think that might be cutting themselves short of the opportunity that business school is. So thank
Right.
you for that insight. That was awesome. Thank you for your time. This has been great. I'm excited to hear everybody's feedback, because I think it's going to be really impactful for a lot of people. So again, Ryan, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy volleyball.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye bye.